Hi guys, welcome back. This is numbers 27 through 30 on your study guide. These all go with indirect measurement or shadow reckoning. So when you're reading word problems, even if they don't have pictures that show shadows, when you're reading those problems, and it talks about something tall casting a shadow, like a lamppost or a street light, or a man casting a shadow or a tree casting a shadow. I want that to click in your brain that this is likely a shadow reckoning problem, and that you are going to use right triangle information and proportions and so on. So let's go ahead and get started. If you look at the directions for numbers 27 through 30, they're kind of important because many of you want to just solve for it and find out what the answer is, but it's really important that you understand how to write the proportion and then solve the problem. So I'm going to show you the way that I do it. The book does it a little bit differently, but I like to keep the numbers together that go with each shape. So I'll explain a little bit more about what that means. So when I'm looking at this picture, I see a tree that's casting a shadow, and then I see a man. That's what Yori is. That's the person's name. So I see a man, and he's also casting a shadow. So I'm going to draw those two pictures separately. So the first one I'm going to draw is the tree triangle. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and draw our triangle here. Oops, let's try and move that back one more time. All right, we're going to try and draw our triangle here as straight as I can and make this here. Oops. Mavis, my dog, has decided that she would like to join us. All right, so here we go. We have our first triangle here. That's going to be my tree. That's why I drew it green. So now we're going to label the height of the triangle with 25. I get this from right here. And then we're going to label the base of the triangle is that 20 right here. So we might even want to put a little note to ourselves that we know that this is the tree. Perfect. So now we're going to draw our second right triangle that's going to be for the man, Yuri. So I'm going to make it a little bit shorter, a lot bit shorter. And we're going to go ahead and connect it like this. Perfect. So now what we're going to do is look at Yuri's dimensions. So we're solving for the height. We don't know how tall he is, so we're going to write height right there. But we know his shadow is casting and actually let me go back and change colors so that you can see. All right, so we don't know the height. That is how we know because of that little H right there. And we know that his shadow is going to be the 5 feet, so we're going to put a 5 here. Now, when I'm drawing these triangles to solve the problem, I leave out the feet, meters, inches, whatever it is. I leave that out so that I can focus on the numbers, and then at the end, once I'm finished, then I go ahead and add it there at the end. So now I'm going to write that this is the man. So these are his dimensions here. So back to that part where it says to write the proportions. So let's look at the proportions. I like to keep the numbers together. So what I mean by that is I like to say, okay, height over base. So I'm going to take 25, that's the height, over the base, which is 20. So this is all the same triangle. That's the tree triangle, okay? And now I'm going to go ahead and switch to pink so that you can tell I want to have the height of the man over the base of the man triangle. So notice that's in pink. So that's what I mean when I say I keep them together. I like to keep the numbers together. So now I'm going to draw a little equal sign in between them. And now we've set the proportions up. Now sometimes you're going to have the two numbers that I'm about to loop here. So this 25 and 5. Sometimes you're going to have them going from left to right like they are here, and sometimes they'll go from right to left. But what you know is that you can't really do anything with 20 and H right now. So the way that I have you do it is multiply 25 times 5. So just so that you can follow me, I'm going to write 25 times 5 here. So that's the one multiplication piece that we're doing. Oops. There we go. 25 times 5. And we're going to set that equal to the 20 and the H. Okay, so when I do it in class, I just have you guys multiply hold on one second, let me go back. Okay, I just have you guys multiply the 25 times 5, and then I say divide by the guy that's left out. So when you get 25 times 5 equals 20H, when you multiply the 25 times 5, you should get 125 equals 20H. And then from here, you just need to solve it like a regular equation. So you're going to divide each side by 20, because remember 20 times h, in order to undo that, you're going to divide both sides by 20. And you get a total of 6.25. So that means that the height is going to be 6.25. Oh, Mavis has decided, I think someone's at the door. Right? And so you don't want to forget to add the feet onto that. So remember that this is the height of the man that is now 6.25 feet. So that's what you've solved for. All right, let's check out the next problem. The next problem, it's really important that you match up these angles and sides so that you can make sure that you're setting up the proportion correctly. So I know this picture isn't the greatest, but let's go ahead and take a look at it. We know that they share this angle here in the middle. So I'm going to point to it and then erase it, but you want to look, see that angle there in the middle? You know that that's the same angle. So if you look at that angle, that's kind of where we want to set those triangles up. All right, so I've drawn two triangles here. Now I want you to look here at this little angle right there that I just made in red. So notice that that has one arc. So we're also going to make that one have one arc as well, the one right here, so the big one, okay? So the gold coins arc, if you turn this now so that you're looking with the arc, the one arc in the bottom left corner, you can see that X yards is the side length, the height right there of the gold coins. And then you can see that the hypotenuse, which is the long side, is 12 yards. So go ahead and put a 12 right there. Now we're going to go look at the shovel and the hut and the silver coins. So we don't know the height of, I was going to say we don't know the height of the big triangle, but I want you to see me outline this in pink. Let me erase this one first. So erase all that. So now I want you to see the way I'm going. So I'm going this way, and this way, where the hut, remember, is down here. So right here, this is actually the height, which is going to be 15. It goes right here. So I want you to kind of orient yourself to this picture. The reason I also know that that's true, let me erase this so you can see it again. The reason I also know this is true is if you look closely at this, you can see that going from the bottom corner, which is right there, you've got at the top corner, it'll have the two arcs. And so that's how you know that going from the bottom to the top, it's 15, because the two arcs would be placed right there, okay? Whereas with our other one where we have X, we also have two arcs here, okay? So now you have the 15 there. Now let's see if we can match up that hypotenuse on the big one. So the 15 is here, so that means the hypotenuse, which is right here, is going to be 18. So now that we have three numbers and an X, we can set up the proportion. Now remember, I keep them together, so I'm going to keep the height as X over the hypotenuse, which is 12, so that's all of my red triangle, my triangle that has the red lettering, and I'm going to set that equal to, and again, I need to keep the height, which is 15, on top, over my hypotenuse, which is 18. So it's really important that you keep the figures in the correct place, or they're not going to work out properly when you do the proportions. Now, as I said before, you want to look for the two numbers that are diagonal. These are your cross products. So you're going to take 12 times 15. Now you know that that's going to be equal to 18x, because you can see if you loop this. Now, I don't typically loop that, so I'm going to back it up because that's not how I do it in my class. So I just want to do that for everyone's benefit, though, so that you can see where the 18x is coming from. So then go ahead and do the rest of that math. So for the 12 times 15, you get 180 equals 18x. Now you're going to divide each side by 18. This is a little bit more equation practice, so dividing by 18. And again, just a reminder, we're dividing by 18 because 18x means 18 multiplied by x. And to get x alone, which is the goal of any equation, we're going to do the opposite or inverse operation. So now 18 divided by 18 leaves us with just one x, so we can cross that out. And then we're going to get x is equal to 10. So now we know that right here, this x, which is the height of the smaller triangle there, is equal to 10, and it looks like yards. So x is equal to 10 yards. And then you can box that answer. All right, so as you can see with number 29, I went ahead and pulled the triangles out just as they are. So actually, what I probably should have done, let me go ahead and move these for you so that you can, let me move that one over here for now. Let's move this one over here. Okay, so then you can at least see them in their correct, and oops, hold on. So that you can at least see them in their correct order, if that makes sense. Okay, so what I've done here is I've taken what I'm going to call the blue triangle, which is right here. That's the big blue triangle. Now I'm going to erase that. And I've taken the pink triangle, which is the little one right there. And I'm going to erase that. So I've just pulled the triangles out. So now let's go ahead and label the triangles with their side lengths. So the large triangle at the bottom, if you look really closely, you can see the 31.5 right there. So we're going to label that 31.5. And remember, I don't put any of the measurements in, the units in until the end because it kind of muddies what it should look like. And then the height of that triangle is going to be D. You can see that right here. So you see where D is the height of the larger triangle. Now I'm going to erase the blue marks on here so that you can clearly see the pink that I'm going to mark. So let's start labeling our pink shape. We can see that the base is going to be the 6 feet right here. So we're going to write a 6 there. Now for the height, it's kind of small, but you can see the 2. So go ahead and write the 2 right there. Now you want to take those numbers and set up the correct proportions. So again, I personally like to keep my numbers together. So I'm going to keep the 6 over the 2. And I'm going to say that all that, so 6 over the 2, I'm going to say that all that is equal to 31.5 over D. Now notice I keep both of my triangles oriented the same way, meaning they're both kind of upside down right now. And that helps me to make sure that the 6 is on top and the 31.5 is on top. You want to match side to side to make sure that that's correct. Now we're going to loop what we have. So the 2 times 31.5, and then we're going to divide it by the straggler, which is that 6. So you get 63 equals 6D. And now in order to finish solving that problem, you're going to divide each side by 6 because that's what's being done to the D. And now we're going to get 63 divided by 6, which is 10.5. The very end is where you're going to add your units again. So 10.5 feet, and then box that answer. All right, so now let's go ahead and take a look at number 30. It says, how far is it across the pond? So you can see that across the pond is going to be what we're solving for here, which is D. Notice all I've done is I've taken 2 of these triangles out. So go ahead and take a look real quick. I'm going to try and zoom in on my screen. I don't know if you can see that on yours, but my blue one is right here, okay? So that's the blue one. And then my pink one, which is the larger one, is going to be right like that. 1 second. Sorry about that. So now we have D, which is the distance across the lake. Now to find the height on the side of the big triangle, you're going to look right here. Oops. You're going to look right here. So look at the 325. So sorry about that. Go ahead and put 325 right here. Now we're going to go ahead and label the blue triangle. So if you look closely, you can see that the base of the blue triangle is 156 and that the height of the blue triangle is 162.5. So go ahead and write that there. Okay, sorry, that looks like time. All right, and now the most important step is writing the proportions. So I'm going to keep my height, 325, over my base, which is D, equals, and then I'm going to do my height, which is 162.5 over 156. And I'm going to move all this because it's a little close to my triangle. So there we go. Let's just move that down there. So now you can go ahead and do your cross products. Go ahead and multiply these 2 numbers and divide by your straggler. And you should have gotten that D is going to be equal to 312, and don't forget this is the part where you put the meters back on, so meters, 312 meters, okay? So that about wraps it up for the shadow reckoning and indirect measurement section. So I will go back and review the earlier stuff in another video. Good luck tomorrow and good job for tonight.